My name is Quinn and welcome to my channel. Today I am going to be doing the A to Z Bookish tag, which has 26 different book-related questions, each question having a different letter of the alphabet that it is associated with. Now, I think this is a book tag. I'm not really sure if I wasn't tagged, but I just saw it on YouTube a lot and I thought it was really fun and I wanted to do it. I don't know who originally came up with these questions, but if I do, I'll link their video in the description bar as well as all of the questions, because I get really annoyed when YouTubers don't put all of the questions in the book tags in the description box, but that might just be me. The first question in this tag is an author you've read the most books from, and for me that would have to be Cassandra Clare. I have read 9 of her books, 6 from the Mortal Instrument series, and 3 from the Infernal Devices series. B is Best Sequel Ever. This book could be considered a sequel or it could be considered a companion, and that is Just One Year by Gail Forman. I thought that this book really wrapped up the series quite nicely. Willem's point of view was really interesting and heartbreaking, and I think in the end everything I wanted to happen happened, and it was really just told in a really poetic way that I really enjoyed reading. C is for currently reading, and I am currently reading Truth Witch by Susan Dennard. The story follows 2 witches who both have really rare special powers. One is a thread witch and one is a truth witch, and together they have to run away from all these witches who want their powers in the war against witches. D is drink of choice when reading. Now, I'm not really a coffee or a tea girl. I don't really enjoy the taste of them too much. I'm not a huge caffeine fan. If I am drinking something when I'm reading, which I usually don't because I'm very clumsy, but if I am drinking while reading, I'm usually drinking hot chocolate or water. E is e-reader or physical book. Now, I go between both personally. I think I can see the advantages in both. I like having a physical book because I like the cover, and holding a book is very nice and aesthetically pleasing in a way. But I have very poor eyesight, so I used to read a lot of ebooks because you can change the size of the font, and I found myself concentrating a little better because I didn't have to squint so much to see the words on the page if a book had small font. F is for fictional character you probably would have dated in high school, and for me that is Frank from Since You've Been Gone. He reminds me of a lot from my boyfriend from high school, who's still my boyfriend now. He's very smart and witty and funny, and I love him, so Frank would probably be the closest person to my boyfriend. G is for glad you gave this book a chance, and for me that is Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I almost wasn't going to read this book. I was like, I'm not going to like a book about assassins, but I freaking love this book. Selena is so kick-ass, and I'm really glad I picked up this book because the Throne of Glass series is one of my favorite series ever. H is Hidden Gem book, and for me that book is The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. I think not a lot of people talk about this book on BookTube. I had to read it for school, and otherwise I probably wouldn't have known about it. But it follows 2 boys, and I believe they're from Afghanistan, and their troubles, dealing in an oppressive government. And the book is just really heartbreaking, and the characters are all very well-rounded, and you really feel for them, and the story just breaks your heart, but it's also uplifting in a way. I is for an important reading moment in your life, and I can almost remember this event as it was yesterday. It really got me into YA genre as a whole. One day I was in my local library and I asked my librarian for a recommendation, and she said that the City of Bones books were really good, and I fell in love with them, and I fell in love with YA ever since. So thank you, Mrs. Hickey. It's one of my favorite series. If you hadn't shown it to me, I probably never would have found it. J is for just finished, and I just finished City of Heavenly Fire by Cassandra Clare, and oh my god, my heart is just more thoughts in my February wrap up, but I just loved it. K is for kind of books you won't read. I wouldn't say that I would never not read a book. I definitely give them a chance, but I feel like the kinds of books, like the genres of books I don't usually reach for, are nonfiction, just because I like characters and I like character development, and that's probably the biggest part of a book for me is character development. And graphic novels I usually tend to not reach for, but I'm open to them. I don't think I would never reach for them, but it's just not something I immediately go to. L is for longest book you've ever read, and for me that is Breaking Dawn by Stephanie Meyer. That was 768 pages. M is for major book hangover because for me that would have to be Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas. If you know the ending of this book, you know that we end on a really big cliffhanger. We find out a really big piece of information, and I remember that I had gotten the first 2 books of this series, but I didn't have Heir of Fire yet, and I finished this book and I was like, What? I don't have Air Fire. Like, I need to read this right now. So I went right on Amazon. I got 2-day shipping, and that book was in my hands in 2 days, and I like immediately read it because the cliffhanger at the end of this book is just that monumental. N is for number of bookshelves. I have 2. I have this new one that I got right behind here, and this was my old bookshelf. And so this, I'm trying to fill this up, and then I will move on to this one because it's a little uglier, to be quite honest. But I really like this bookshelf. It's really pretty, and I can't wait to fill it up. O is one book you read multiple times, and for me that would have to be Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver. This book is really a coming-of-age story. It basically follows this character who dies and relives the last day before her death several times before she kind of gets it right and learns all the lessons she needs to. And I feel like every time I read this book, I learned something new that I didn't know before, and I find out something about the character and about life. And I just learn a different lesson every single time I read this book, and I think I need to reread it because it's been a long time since I have, and I really miss it. P is for preferred place to read, and for me that would have to be my bed. It's really comfy, and I can just lay down and read at the end of a long day. I don't really like sitting in a chair. It kind of hurts my back, but I know the bed probably isn't the best place to read because I get really tired, but it's usually where I go to read. Q is for quote that inspires you / gives you all the feels. If you haven't read City of Glass, then I would just like skip forward a little bit in this video. But for me, the quote would have to be, "And now I'm looking at you, and you're asking me if I still want you. As if I could ever stop loving you. As if I would want to give up the thing that makes me stronger than anything else ever has. I never dared give much of myself to anyone before. Bits of myself to the Lightwoods, to Isabel and Alec. But that took years to do. But Clary, since the first time I saw you, I have belonged to you completely. I still do, if you want me." That quote just gave me all the feels. It made me feel so happy and lovely, and everything I wanted to happen in City of Glass just wrapped up very nicely at the end of this book, and I was just like, Clace is like everything, and I just love that quote. R is for reading regret, and for me that would have to be P.S. I Still Love You by Jenny Han. I really didn't like this book. It kind of ruined the impression for me for the series as a whole. I don't know, I just really didn't like it. I hated Peter in this book. I thought Laura Jean was annoying. I think if she just stopped after To All the Boys I've Loved Before, I would have really liked the series a whole lot as a whole, but I just kind of regret picking this book up. S is for series where all the books are out, but you still need to finish it. I should probably finish the Divergent series. I read Divergent and Insurgent, but I've already been spoiled for Allegiant. It kind of just sounds, from what people are saying, like it's not a very good book and I wouldn't really like it. I'll probably go see the movie because I've seen the Divergent and Insurgent movie, but I don't plan on reading Allegiant probably. T is for 3 of your all-time favorite books, and this is really hard to narrow down because I love so many different books, but I picked 3 and they're in no particular order. One is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, City of Bones by Cassandra Clare, and Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas. U is for Unapologetic Fangirl For, and I feel like I've talked about this series so much already in this video, but I am an unapologetic fangirl for the Mortal Instruments series. I love all the characters. I will read any book that Cassandra Clare puts out because they're gold. V is for very excited for this release more than all the others. For me, that would have to be the 5th Throne of Glass book, which comes out on September 6th. W is for worst book habit. For me, that would have to be, I read a lot of books and then I forget the details really quickly. I don't know if I just have a really bad memory, but by the next time I pick up a book, I forget a lot of what happened, so I'd say that's my worst book habit. X is for X marks the spot. Pick the 27th book on your bookshelf. I feel like I've already talked about this series so much that it's really kind of ironic that this is the 27th book on my shelf. But the 27th book on my shelf is Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas. Y is for your latest book purchase, and I just pre-ordered Lady Midnight, and that'll be coming on March 8th. I am so excited. Z is for Z, which is the last book that kept you up reading way too late. For me, that would have to be City of Heavenly Fire. I was almost up till 1 in the morning reading it when I had at 8 a.m. the next day. I was really tired the next day, but it was really worth it because the book was so great. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I really hope that you like my A to Z Bookish Survey. I know that this tag isn't really a tag, it's kind of just a survey, but I'm going to tag people anyways. I am going to tag Sham Reads and Geeky Things because they always leave the nicest comments in my videos and I really appreciate it. So if you guys want to do this tag, I would love to watch it. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I hope you like this video. Subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I will see you next week. Bye guys!